Greetings. So many people have asked, what is my recipe for my bone broth? So I'm going to show everybody. I'm going to start with my pot. I use a Ninja Foodie 8 quart. So it's a big old pot, right? I'm just going to set that over here in the sink. Okay. And then we're going to talk about the bones that I pick. So there's really two schools of thought. What you want is you want that marrow in that middle. Okay? And you want that cross grain of the bone for a good bone broth. The reason being is that's where your collagen is. That's where some of your collagen is. That's where your micronutrients are, is in that marrow, right? Well, who wants to eat that, right? I don't know about you, but I'm not wild about eating something that looks like that. So these are beef bones. And they've got a little bit of fat on them. They still have a little bit of the meat on them. That'll be good. That'll help with the flavor, right? So that's the first type of bone that goes in. Okay. The second type of bone, and I get these special ordered from my butcher. So go talk to your butcher and tell them that you want the joint. You want the knee bone. Of a cow, if you want beef. If you don't want to do beef, if you want to do chicken, chicken feet actually have the same thing in them. Okay? So this is the knee bone off of a cow. Okay? It's got lots of meat still attached. It's got huge joint in there, right? And that's really what you're after. Is you're after the micronutrients in this, because this has collagen in it. And collagen, if you know anything about your body, our body can't produce new collagen. So, but it can ingest collagen, and that will help, right? Collagen is what lubricates our joints, strengthens our hair and our nails, makes it so that we stay young. So huge, big bladed knee bone, and that goes in the pot. Okay. Quick wash of the hands, and now we get to the flavor. Okay. So we're going to start off with some stewed carrots. The biggest reason why is stewed carrots bring a level of sweetness to the broth. Plus, there's a lot of micronutrients in carrots. The way you cook a bone broth, you're really extracting all the deep, hard to get to nutrients, right? So wash them, leave the skins on them, leave the ends on them. Whatever's in there, you're going to want. You're going to get some of that. Okay. So I do a 5-pound joint and shank bone. And I do 1 pound of carrots. And all I'm doing is I'm breaking them up into pieces so that my pot doesn't fill up too quick. I want to maximize my space. Right? So we wind up with that in there, right? Okay. And then you want a good chunk of ginger. So ginger has all kinds of healthy properties to it. The most important is because it has heat to it, you're going to get some antiviral benefits. Okay, and you want those. It helps prevent the flu. It helps prevent other viral infections, right? So you just go through, and you're not going to get rid of the skin because technically you're not going to actually eat it, but you're going to get rid of the brown pieces, the parts that have been exposed to oxygen for a long period of time. And then you're going to put just a thin slice on that ginger. And I like a good amount of ginger, good, you know, handful, hand and a half full of ginger. Because when I'm drinking my broth, I like to have that little gingery bite. To me, it masks some of the flavor of the fat. From the bone. But mostly it's about just giving me something that is a little enjoyable. Right? The more aromatics that you put in your bone broth, the more enjoyable it'll be to have, right? To drink. Okay? But then the onions, same thing. You just want to cut the damaged parts off because none of this is going to get eaten. So I just quarter my onions, put them down in the pot, inside facing up, and I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. So, inside facing up, right? And I do 2 onions, and I like red onions. You can do white onions, yellow onions, whatever you like. Then you want to get 4 good sized cloves of garlic, right? And I'm using purple garlic here. And you just want to slice them in half across the grain, so that you get that pretty inside. Okay? And then your Foodie or your Instapot, you want to set those so that they're inside up. And you want it because you're going to take advantage of the aromatic properties of that garlic. Okay. So it looks like that, right? So then you're going to add some black pepper or ground pepper or rainbow pepper, but some kind of pepper. Table pepper works best. Just a plain black pepper. Right? And that's it. That's all you're going to put in this pot until you add the water. Okay? So let's go take a trip to the Foodie. There you go. I do a lot of cooking with my Foodies, so I've got 2 pots. If you decide to get a Ninja Foodie 9-in-1, I recommend you get 2 pots. You'll use them, trust me. Okay. So with that, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to close the lid, and then I'm going to turn my Foodie on. And I'm going to go to broil for 20 minutes. All right? And I'm going to start that. And so now what we're doing is we're broiling or roasting all those vegetables and that bone. Okay, we're going to do that for 20 minutes. We'll be back after that. Okay, thank you. Be right back. So, if you wanted to, you could have done this on a roasting pan in the oven on 450 degrees for about 45 minutes, and you would get the same result. Okay. This is important because I don't expect you guys to go out and buy Ninja Foodie. Then the next stage, you could use a slow cooker for 24 hours. Make sure to check the water on the lowest setting. You could also use your stovetop on the lowest heat for about 24 hours. And again, make sure you check the water. Okay? So here we are coming down to the timer. I'm going to stop it right at 1 second so that way you don't hear this thing beep and go through its process, because that's just annoying. Okay. So now what you got is, oh yeah. Look at that. Look at that garlic. So that's garlic now. Roasted garlic. All the way around. A roasted onion. Right? So now you got this nice, pretty caramelization thing going on. And you want that because that's flavor. Okay? That's going to help this be digestible, consumable. Because without that, you'd wind up with a slimy mess that, well, frankly, nobody'd want to eat, right? So now you're going to fill up your pot so that everything is submerged underwater. Okay. Turn that so you can kind of see my max fill line there, right? We don't, in a Ninja Foodie, we don't want to go above the max fill line. But we do want to make sure that we get enough liquid in the pot to be able to make what we want to make. In this case, bone broth. So just very carefully, because the pot's hot, pour in your liquid. For me, this works two ways. I'm using a cup that is marked to tell me where 1 quart is. So each time I add one of these, I'm getting a quart of broth in the end, right? Miss Shaw and I drink about a gallon of bone broth in a week. So I make this every Monday. Look at that. Perfect. That's my full gallon of water added to my 8-quart Ninja Foodie. Push these down just a little bit, get them down in the water. The biggest thing is you don't want too much stuff hanging out above the water, right? So, because that'll just, it doesn't get the benefits, right? So the bone and the meat is 100% under the water, okay? Then we put on a pressure lid. So if you've got a pressure cooker of any kind, you could do this. You want to pressure cook it on high for 8 hours, okay? So my Ninja Foodie only pressure cooks on high for 4 hours at a time. So I'm going to set it for 4 hours. I'll come back in 4 hours and I will add time and keep it under pressure. And then in 8 hours, you and I'll open it up and we'll see what we've got. Okay? So, again, if you don't have a Ninja Foodie, you can do this on the stove top in a big stew pot. You can do this with a slow cooker. You would just roast the vegetables and the meat in your oven, and then you would put it in your pot on your stove or in the pot in your slow cooker on the lowest temperature, and you would cook it for about 24 hours. In both of those, periodically skim off the foam that's forming at the top. Okay, you have no use for the foam. There's no reason to keep the foam, and it'd just be in your way anyways. When you're pressure cooking it, you don't have to worry about that. Pressure cook it for the full 8 hours. Let it naturally release, and then open it up. So we'll come back after it's naturally released. Until then, thank you very much, and we'll be right back. Okay, so now we've managed to finish pressure cooking, or cooking on the stove top, whatever the case may be. So now we've got to strain it off. Oh yeah. So now what you can see is all of those bones are broken down. The vegetables are all broke down pretty well to do. Everything's kind of falling apart. It's kind of what we want. Right? And we'll take that and save it for the critters outside. Awesome. And then we're going to, if you can tell, let's see if we can see. Yeah, if you look closely, you can see that there's an oily sheen on top of that bone broth. And that's okay. That's from the fat that was on the meat or on the bones. So we're going to transfer all of this beautiful liquid to a container that will actually help us form the top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put this in the refrigerator, and we're going to let it harden. It usually takes about 2 hours in my refrigerator. And we're going to let it harden, at which time we're going to come back and we'll see what's happened. Okay, so the broth is chilled in the refrigerator for at least a couple of hours. And we get this nice crusty layer of white fat. Okay. If you're lucky, you can break it free and pull it right off. It comes off in one chunk. And we just put that in a bowl and save it. And we pick out all the other white fatty part. Because you don't really need the white fat in your diet. You can cook with it, you can do other stuff with it, but generally speaking, we get enough fat from other foods that we don't need to eat the animal fat that came off our bones. Okay? So, but what I do want to point out is you can see that it's like gelatin. Right? That's because there's gelatin, animal gelatin, in the bones. Made up of collagen. And that collagen is what you want to drink. That's what you're hoping to get, right? So we drink this straight. So this is made, I'm right at 3 quarts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this down by adding water. I'm going to add 1 quart of water, filtered water, to that. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 quart of filtered water to that, giving me a gallon for use this week. And I'm going to break up that concentrated bone broth, get it stirred in nice and good. So these other chunks that you see, those are the spices that, and the remnants that don't filter out from the filter from the strainer. They're not going to hurt anything. You're leaving them in there, it just adds flavor. Miss Shaw was supposed to be coming in to get a cup. I think she's worried that she's going to be on camera, which she won't be. So we pour that chunky stuff in there, and we're going to put that in 1 cup of that in the microwave for a minute, and we'll be right back. So I microwave it for 2 minutes, and then I add a splash of water to bring the temperature down to something that's drinkable. This is all about getting that collagen into our body, because our body doesn't produce more collagen. So we have to consume something that has collagen in it. Otherwise, our body depletes itself of collagen, and that's what causes our skin to sag and become wrinkly, and it causes our joints to become stiff and sore. We don't have new lubrication in our joints and in our skin. Bone broth is also beneficial as an appetite suppressant. There's only 50 calories in a cup of bone broth, yet if you flavor it right, you get the opportunity to feel like you're eating a bowl or a cup of soup, but there's nothing in it. It's just broth. So your stomach is filled with liquid, which is hydrating, and you're getting all the micronutrients that is found in that bone broth. Right? And because bone broth looks to be the most disgusting thing I'd ever tell you to drink, I brought Miss Shaw in to tell you how good it tastes. Okay? So right off the bat, you're hit with the smell of the ginger and the roasted meat and the bones. There you are with nice hot bone broth. It kind of looks like a pale coffee. Okay? And so now you get to hear Miss Shaw drink it.
You need to add a little water so it's not hot.
Splash of water for Miss Shaw.
I don't like sipping it. I prefer to kind of chug it. You got carrots in that one?
Yes. You
taste the carrots.
Right. So the carrots bring a sweet note to it, which is at first completely odd. What other flavors do you pick up?
I know you got ginger in that one.
Mm-hmm.
The beef is strong in this one.
Yes.
It's good. It's good. And then what did you use to spice it? Season it?
Nothing.
Nothing? Is there garlic in it?
There's garlic cloves, onions.
That's a good one.
Okay.
I like that.
So there you are. You can add beef broth to any of your dishes that require liquid. We drink 3 cups of beef broth every day. During our purge cycle, we drink 8 cups. And we purge for 3 weeks every 9 weeks. And if you want more information about that and why, feel free to reach out to me or Miss Shaw and we can explain that. Mm-hmm. But thank you for joining me this week. I'm sorry it wasn't live. And I'm sorry it took an extra week for me to make. But thank you.
Bye.